Chandra, thanks for some of those wonderful points. And I was nodding my head because you're going right into my head of where I was starting to think that, role-based access is something which we are all wanting to go away from, right? And then you gave some really specific examples that made complete sense. The biggest word which was rhyming there for me and echoing for me was context, right? And it falls right in the middle of zero trust framework, what we are seeing develop, right? Have you seen some solid implementations of zero trust? Obviously, it's early days. It's at a framework. Not a lot of products are there which are zero trust compliant fully. So there's a lot of work happening in the industry on this particular space. But obviously, there are very solid set of best practices which are already out there, right? Some companies are working on it. Some are much farther ahead. Have you seen any good examples of zero trust implementations? What you see in people, CIOs and CISOs bake into their environments and really start to see benefits, where they are able to track your context and get to what you were just talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. So you see, that's a great question, and we started talking like from the day one. It's like we have a paper written down in 2016 that 0 day zero trust. So we wrote it down. So one of the things is like for us, the monitoring side of like in the organization, zero trust, 0 day zero trust is pretty important in there. That because without that, detection becomes very challenging there. Now on the hygiene side, the challenge have been always on the hygiene side. There are certain things you want to kind of monitor and verify. So it was never a zero trust. It was like, okay, monitor, verify, then let it kind of go through and all that in there. Now, what happens is 0 day zero trust is just something which is not that easy on the gateways to implement it all over the place, because there are certain things not everyone is very knowledgeable where they can say, okay, this is good for me, this is not good and not good and all that in there. And then if you leave that decision to be made by automated engines all the time, and that engine makes a wrong decision, stops something in there, now people will start complaining about productivity and all that in there. Because see, one thing on the gateway side is a lot different than when you are doing the monitoring, and then with the context and situation, you are letting kind of decision being made or decision being defined. That's right. And those decisions are not happening on the kind of like, you don't have to look into the billions of event decisions every day in there. So it will take some time. So the point I was kind of going to make it, 0 day zero trust is here to stay. It is going to stay in there. Certain things will get baked in, and you have to assume that, hey, these are like right thing to let it go. There are certain things which will be always where you have to have some intelligence being fed in, like on the real-time basis, to make sure those decisions are being taken in the real time, close to real time. That's what it is in there. And that will kind of like make the life much more simpler going forward in there. Otherwise, what will happen is still you will be tied up to the rules, signatures, and policies. And those are defined up front. If something is defined up front, and if you have to take it as it is, then there is no zero trust, because you have already trusted certain thing in there. And that's what the people take advantage of. Today, you kind of like come in and say, okay, hey, these set of like my rules, signatures, and policies are, somebody will kind of like now find a way to bypass those ones in there. You have a certain set of identity, they will act as that identity and get through it in there, and then you have trusted it. But by the monitoring, we are able to say that, hey, this is not you, what you said. But when you have to do on the protection side coming in, you have to have like a way to present yourself, and that presentation need to be challenged and say, yeah, this is what it is. And people have to kind of go through a little bit more than what they have been doing previously to accept that zero trust kind of like environment in there, And sometimes it becomes like that, okay, how willing people are to accept that extra steps in the beginning, a little bit pain, but that pain kind of have a lot of kind of a gain in the later part of it when it comes down to the cybersecurity hygiene and cybersecurity for the environment and the organization point of view.